If your roofing website still has blogs, I'm going to show you how it could actually be hurting your Google ranking and go over it with you. My name's Nolan Walker out of Fort Worth, Texas. We've helped roofers for 16 years, hundreds of them. Let me jump right into it and talk about blogs. Guys, I've been preaching against blogs for 7 years. Google years ago, like a decade ago, said, don't make content for Google, make it for the user. Now they usually say stuff early and they're a lot faster at changing the algorithm now than they used to be. They said it for a long time. We started using something like data pens because we made this software specifically for this, but let's talk about the blog. The blog is unreadable. It's horrible content. If you have it on your website and you have 100 blogs and 5 or 10 pages of services, you have 90+% of the content on your website that nobody in their right mind would want to read. It causes algorithmic penalty. We have watched it for years lower rankings. Now, the entire industry is still giving you blogs. Most people talk about it. Most people still want them. I'm starting to see people not use them as much. Google finally came out and said something the other day and called it commodity content. Now, they came out and they issued an algorithmic update about 3 years ago called the helpful content update, and that meant don't put in non-helpful content. You should have a great brand representative of your services and materials, and any content added should be a good user experience and helpful. And if it's not going to help you in ranking. Now, I can tell you if you have a ton of blogs, they're hurting your ranking. Probably even if you have as little as 25 or 50, but if you have more than that, you can almost assure that you have an algorithmic penalty. You can test this by just taking the URL of each individual blog and putting it in quotes and searching it in Google. And if it's uncached, it means they know about it, but decided not to put it on the Google servers. So they're aware you have it, but hate it so much they didn't cache it. Then you know you have a problem. Now, this isn't the only thing, guys. If you choose not to do the best marketing possible, you won't show up as well in ranking. But having blogs is harmful, and finally Google said something 3 days ago calling it commodity content. Thank you, Google, for mentioning it finally. It's been against their wishes for a decade to throw content on. More blogs so I can get higher ranking. Let's flood my website with trash that nobody in their right mind would want to read and then wonder why you don't show up in ranking. So how do you get content and how do you show up in ranking? First off, the website needs to be as best as it can. Representative, again, having a page for every material, having a page for every service. Otherwise, expect not to show up for it. Because why? Because you'd be a poor user experience. You want to show up for standing seam metal, you don't have a page. TPO, you don't have a page. Roof insurance claims help, you don't have a page. Why would they show you? A lot of people go to the website that go to the Google map. Why would they show the Google map in the first place? So how do you get helpful content, guys? You can use data pens. We've had this for 7 years. We work on it every day. Yes, out of Fort Worth, Texas. We program it right here along with all the other work we do because why? You get graded for everything that we do. If I sub it out of the country, it's less quality. We don't control it. The workmanship here is better. And so then you get the grade for that. But this data pen will come into each individual page that has been written. Raise your hand every time you do a job. Show the geo coordinates, show the photos, show the video, show the words. Show them to like-kind services. Asphalt shingle to asphalt shingle, repair to repair, standing seam metal to standing seam metal, and so on. That's good content. And you could add a ton more of it every time you're on a roof. This is a lot more than blogs, and it's a good user experience. It's great content. Who are they going to show for an asphalt shingle? The guy that never touched it, doesn't even have a page for it, or the guy that has a page for it and shows them? Maybe they're looking for that thing that gets spidered in the data pen, that brand, that GAF, that Atlas, that CertainTeed, that Malarkey product. They wanted that. You're the only guy that talked about it in a format that could be shown to someone to have a good user experience that was helpful content. You can talk about something in a blog, they're not going to show it. So very unlikely. And by the way, if you ever see anybody with blogs up in rankings, that's not you probably. And those blogs aren't helping them up in ranking. They're up in ranking despite the blog. I get people to say, aha, Nolan, I got you. You didn't get me. That guy's been around 20 years. They have a lot of experience, expertise, authority, and trust. And Google's showing them in ranking despite the blogs. And eventually some guy like you comes in, signals thousands of % more with data pens with better content, and dumps that old dog that lost his way add a Pack 3 map ranking, boom, and that's how you do it. Guys, I've done this forever. I'd like to help you. Our crew'd like to help you. And get serious about marketing, deserve to show up in ranking. Call us, we'd like to hear from you.